One of the many reasons we started doing YouTube is because we always wanted to tackle unsolved and unexplained mysteries. But we also wanted to look into cases of missing people and try our best to figure out what or who caused the disappearance, and most importantly, find clues that could help the investigation and bring it to the wider audience. The case of Karlie Gusé is a tragic incident that happened on 13th of October 2018, and to this day no new clues have been provided by the police or volunteers and the case remains open. We will try to present the case without involving our own opinions on the matter, but only showing you evidence or information we found and leave the rest of the investigation to you. The first question we need to ask ourselves is, who is Karlie Gusé? Karlie Gusé was a 16-year-old girl who lived with her father Zachary and stepmother Melissa Gusé and two younger brothers in a California neighborhood. Karlie's parents had gotten divorced when she was just a toddler, and later on she decided to move in with her dad because her mother was moving to Nevada. According to friends and family, Karlie had a relatively happy childhood. She was described by many in her close circle as being sweet and funny. Her best friend is said to be her biological mother, Lindsay Farley. However, in the weeks leading up to her disappearance, Karlie began to have what one friend described as episodes. Karlie was terrified that someone was tracking her on her phone. The creepiest part is, to this day, no one knows why Karlie thought she was being tracked. According to some posts, Karlie's grades dropped drastically in the months prior to her disappearance. She had called a certain hotline for people who feel like taking their own life just weeks before vanishing. Karlie had also started visiting a therapist. After some digging, we found no information about her therapist or if this person provided any relevant information about their private sessions. Even though the teenager was probably dealing with severe depression and personal issues, suicide would probably be out of the question, as killing herself would result in police finding her body very early into the investigation. But in order to stop the speculations and proceed further, we need to look at the timeline of this case. After leaving school with her boyfriend, Karlie planned on getting together with her friends to have a party. She calls her stepmom and tells her that she's going to a local football game instead of a party. When asked who is going to take her home, Karlie responds that her boyfriend is going to take care of her and will bring her home. All seems well during the party when suddenly Karlie starts to feel unwell and asks to leave immediately. Her boyfriend Donald walks out of the party with her, and on the way to his house, Karlie gets fearful and in sudden danger. Donald was not able to calm Karlie down, and she supposedly bit him and ran away into the darkness. Police reports suggest that she first called her step-grandma and asked her to stay with her, maybe because she didn't want to let her parents know what happened. But her grandma suggests calling Melissa instead. The story gets split into two halves here, as Melissa's statements contradict each other, but either way we will present both statements. In her first initial story, she told policemen that Karlie was supposed to be at a football game but later called to be picked up from a party. The girl sounded scared and concerned, so Melissa told Zach Gusé, Karlie's biological father, that she's going to pick her up and left the house. There are reports suggesting that the father had been heavily intoxicated that night. Even so, Melissa is saying that he didn't seem concerned about the situation. In another story, Melissa explained that she wasn't even home at the time of Karlie's urgent phone call, which dismisses Zach's statement that he was with Melissa at the time, since it was reported that he was drinking at home. We won't be making any suggestions or accusations in this video, but make what you will about these contradicting statements. After that, Melissa reports seeing Karlie running down the road in the area with her cell phone being the only light, which helped Karlie's stepmom to recognize her. Melissa has reported in several interviews, including Dr. Phil, that Karlie was visibly shaken and paranoid, and wouldn't stop saying that someone or something is going to get her killed. Around 10 p.m. Karlie gets home safe with her stepmother and has several episodes that can only be described as a state of drug-induced psychosis. News outlets reported that Melissa decided to record her stepdaughter's voice, which sounded disoriented. She allegedly wanted to be able to show Karlie what she sounded like under the influence. Private investigators on the case to this day suggest that this is the last proof of life in which her voice was heard. Fox News reportedly listened to one of the two audio recordings. Karlie allegedly sounded paranoid and scared, asking Melissa to call 911 and refusing to go to sleep. Melissa decided not to call the police, believing it's the effects of marijuana causing the episodes, and also reported Karlie did not go to sleep easily. She wanted to keep herself occupied to stay awake, as Karlie was scared that her stepmother is going to kill her in her sleep. Melissa claims Karlie switched her moods from "I love you" to "you're going to kill me" often. The case once again splits into two halves, as Melissa gave controversial statements about the last time she saw Karlie. In one of her statements, she says that she slept with Karlie in her bed all night, and in another claims to have stayed only until Karlie fell asleep. Which one is true will probably remain unanswered. One thing is for certain: when Melissa checked Karlie's room at 7 a.m., she was already gone. There are reports that several witnesses saw her during that time wearing just a white t-shirt, gray suede pants or jeans, and Vans brand shoes. Karlie was last seen by witnesses walking south approximately 30 yards east of Highway 6 and 100 yards south of Sierra View Road in the morning of October 13, 2018. Right after Karlie's disappearance, the Mono County Sheriff's Office published a statement about her last whereabouts. A thorough search of the area and subsequent investigation has been unsuccessful in locating Karlie, and she has not been in contact with family or friends since she went missing. The most famous theory of this case is the one involving Karlie's parents. The difference between Melissa's statements and Zach's lack of involvement really does make one wonder if there is something more to this theory. Unfortunately, due to lack of evidence, we won't pursue this theory in this video, but instead gather enough evidence to point us at the right direction. We will try and rely mostly on known facts, witness statements, and released information about the case. We recently found that Donald, Karlie's boyfriend, has since confirmed that there was no party, but just a few friends who gathered to smoke some weed. No information was provided whether the weed that Karlie smoked had been leased or not. We can only half confirm that she may have been the only one who felt differently, as nobody else complained about it. Upon doing a quick research on Reddit and some medical websites, we found out that many studies over the years have discovered that smoking weed can often raise a person's chances of clinical depression or worsen the symptoms of any mental disorders they might have. Given the fact that Karlie was dealing with mental health issues at the time, we cannot exclude smoking weed as the it factor in this investigation. One of the witnesses who allegedly saw Karlie, Richard Eddy Sr., told police that he was in his hot tub in the morning of October 13th when he suddenly saw a girl walking through his window at around 6:30 a.m. He described her as having a long brown hair, white top and grey pants. He claims she was holding a paper in her hand and waving it as she walked by. Police officers in Melissa believe he is the last person to have seen Karlie Gusé alive. Still, the person that was seen walking past Mr. Addy's window has yet to be confirmed that it was Karlie. One odd thing about this statement is that Richard Addy, an elder person, had no problems giving a perfect description about a person who was 30 feet from his house while it was still dark outside. We also found information from a local resident of the town that Richard Addy Sr. has not lived there for about 6 years now. We cannot help but question why was Richard Addy Sr. there on a Saturday morning. This information remains circumstantial as we do not have further proof to back up the claim. Even if Richard Addy's statement is true, we have to point out something confidential but strange. In Melissa's first Facebook live video where she spoke about Karlie's disappearance, she was also wearing a grey sweatpants and a white t-shirt. She also stated she walked around the neighborhood about the same time all the way down to Highway 6 where Karlie was supposedly last seen. Is it possible that the man saw her instead of Karlie? Even if we believe that everything that has been said is true, how did Karlie suddenly disappear in such a desolate area? Upon further inspection, we found out that there are mine shafts nearby, which seem to have not been checked properly during the investigation because of potential danger of the mines falling apart. Is it possible that Karlie, while still disoriented, found herself in one of those mine shafts? It's also a real possibility that she might have been kidnapped. After all, Highway 6 is a known corridor for human trafficking. There are countless other theories that may hold some truth in them, and sadly we cannot conclude if one of them is absolute truth. Many questions remain unanswered, but we shouldn't give up yet. We never know what stone remains unturned. Maybe someone, somewhere, knows something. You can leave your theories about the case below in the comments. Thank you for watching, and until the next time.